Okay, so if nobody does join, then I don't have to like keep going back and forth. So that's a bonus.
Okay.
So officially the theme for tonight, because in a few days, well not a few days, a week, Sunday is the midsummer solstice. So because of that, because it's right around the corner, tonight our theme is Days of Power. And so I get your pictures. But any questions are fine. Just it seemed pertinent. Yeah. Do you want to officially introduce yourself, or did you already like say your hello?
No, well, I said hello. I'm Rodosky Campbell. I've been women's spirituality, witchy, priestess, student, and teacher officially. And this kind of stuff makes a lot more sense to me as far as like, I mean, some kind of like, like structured spiritual practice to follow than some of the things I was raised with. Being that now it's something that is existent and I can see. Not to say that I don't have a sense of some higher power greater than me, but got all this in order. But I'm also a meditation and consciousness student and teacher. So it all kind of goes together, and happy and witchy sisters, at least right here in this environment. So I'm excited.
Thank you. So Ms. Rodosky will be here every other Monday because she is
Momming.
Kids.
I got a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old. And when the 5-year-old is
Yeah. Yes.
4-year-old.
very good.
I know that goes.
With that 5-year-old.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I've already left her with her a full day. It's enough time.
Yeah, absolutely. Mom get home. Get afraid, driving me crazy. Birth control.
She does
No,
say
I
that.
never asked for her.
I never
Because I have 5 sisters and a brother. And for the longest time, I wanted to have 12.
Oh, goodness gracious. Woo. 12.
That's crazy. 6 girls, 6 boys. And I really don't like girls. Like both boys.
Oh my!
Oh, wow.
Until you realize boys can be a pain in the butt.
Boys can be dramatic. I didn't like girls because they spend too much time talking about their hair.
Then you didn't like girls. My girls don't care about their hair. I'm a hairstylist. I don't care about my hair.
Well, yeah, like if you
I know,
work in a
it's the
decent place,
stereotype.
My brother spent more time in the bathroom growing up than I did. I was like, what? We have 15 minutes before we gotta leave. Okay,
And
get
you were
up.
done it too.
Yeah, and
That's
my brother was like up an hour and a half before he needed to be up, and like
my
was
ride.
in there like spiking every hair.
Oh
And
my-
I'm like,
Well, at least he was making them happen.
no, yeah, he was. He's still like that. We're
Okay.
like, he's like, okay, are you guys ready to go? We're like, are you taking a shower? And he's like, yeah. We're like, yeah, we got like 2 hours.
Yeah, we're gonna make breakfast
Yeah.
and get a massage.
Yeah. Don't worry about us. Worry about yourself.
I had a boyfriend before, I think it was very strange. I was like, you have more showers in the day than me or my teenager. Really,
Yeah.
something.
Yep.
Alrighty. Yeah. So I'll keep looking at the screen for the replay, and I do apologize because in the replay, all this is backwards. So on our left, we have the wheel of the year, and you can Google that and get a very nice looking picture as opposed to my scribble. And on the right, we have the phases of the moon, because there it doesn't really matter where what ancient culture you look at. The moon was very important, and then of the seasons with the sun, especially like solstices and equinoxes. So I feel like, and I did use like the names, you know, that are pretty common in Wicca, for these holidays. They have other names, whether it's like Norse or Celtic or Italian or on and on and on. So, do you, because we talked a lot last week. Do you wanna?
Sure, I love your drawing.
If you're like, I love it, but
No,
I'm teasing.
no, I
I'm
love
teasing.
I love your son.
it's this really sad looking
It's
sun.
so
No,
cute.
it's not
No,
sad.
not at
Oh,
all.
no, I
He's
mean,
like,
because I used one orange, I'm like, ooh, this orange doesn't pop at all. So I used another orange.
It's
In
So-
case you haven't noticed, the sun is very many
Happy.
different oranges and red.
Well, I wanted it
Yeah.
to pop on the video. That's what I was looking for. So, I mean, I can go through the unless you want to.
Well, I mean, I can share what my experience is, which is not gonna be complete at all as far as anything you can read or anything that these ladies would have their own experience as well. Because the thing about like a witchy or Wicca or earth-based path is that there are some things that have names and like standards, but we all experience it differently and celebrate it differently. And so like I was saying earlier, I have, you know, when you look at what day of the year is the longest day of the year or the shortest day of the year, and you look at how that impacts you, or if it's a full moon or a new moon or what's going on, it helps you to take things less personally, less seriously, and feel like you can give yourself what you need a little bit better, at least for me. Like, you know, people will say, oh, it's full moon. And you're like, okay, well, we feel a little bit better about that because there's craziness going on. Or, oh, I'm feeling more introverted or moving, you know, or I'm feeling a little like whatever way. And to be looking at the celestial influences as well as the season. Because people will be like always, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I don't know why I'm so tired. Yes, we all know why we're so tired. It's dark, you know, and it's cold here.
Right.
So to be, it's very logical. You know, there's a logic to it that I really enjoy. It's simple. Very simple. So right now, as Mary was saying, we're coming into I don't know if you say pizza, but
That's one of the you know, the names Litha that people use. So I believe that's Norse. Yule is Norse because it means wheel. So in the Norse calendar, Yule is the beginning of the year. Because now the sun is growing again. You're getting 2 minutes of light every day. And here, I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
So at the midwinter solstice, so it's the shortest day of the year. And then you're getting 2 minutes of daylight every day. And you don't really notice it until you hit 6 weeks later at Groundhog Day. That's on our calendar. It's Groundhog Day. So the oh, I was
Turn
like,
that off.
I was like, ooh, what? So I lost my train of thought. Oh, okay, so Imbolc is one of the names. So February 2nd-ish, you know. And then you're getting more light, more light, more light, more light. The vernal equinox, some people call it Ostara. And so if the solstice is the midway point of winter, then Imbolc is technically the beginning of spring, although at the 45th parallel here, it's still very, very winter, okay? The vernal equinox, technically, because it's a halfway point. So aqua mean equal and nox meaning night, so equal night, right? So that's technically halfway, even though on the calendar it'll say the first day of spring, right? And then you're getting more light, more light, more light. And oh, thank you. So Beltane or May Day, like, I don't think they put that on the calendars anymore. I could be wrong.
Celebrated in Hawaii, for sure. May Day is like huge in Hawaii.
Okay. All right. I did not know that. And so on this wheel, so you'll be in the rebirth of the sun because the sun is coming back. So if you think of the sun being male, and then at Beltane, that's when the god and goddess come together and life begins. And at the midsummer solstice, the goddess is very, very pregnant. So because this is back when people were watching what's going on with around the earth around them, the animals being very full of life, the plants being full of life. So then we have 3 harvest festivals. So now we're gonna, after the midsummer solstice, we're gonna lose 2 minutes every day. And you don't really start to notice it right away. Not so at Lammas, it's still or this is about August 1st. So it's still really toasty. And so you've got the first harvest, which is usually like berries. And then the second harvest, so this is the autumnal equinox, again, equal nights. So split right down the middle, half day, half night. Where this is the longest night and the longest day. And then Halloween is what we call it on our calendars. That's the last harvest. So that's when the last bit of crops are being harvested and brought into the barns. And then you're celebrating because you have enough food to last you through winter. So the sun was super important to ancient people because without it, you didn't have food and you could freeze to death, you'd starve to death. So that's, so it, and that's pretty, I feel like that's pretty standard, like that cycle, because even in Japan, there's the goddess Amaterasu Omikami, who she comes out of her cave in the spring, and she's associated with the sun, right? So I feel like it's pretty universal. These names are like the Norse and Celtic names, but I think you're gonna find, and what I find is interesting in Wicca, the solstices and equinoxes are considered lesser important. I personally find them more important. You know what I mean? Like, why are those not more important? That's weird to me. I feel like those are very, big. They even built Stonehenge. You know what I mean? Like, so if you have anything to add to that.
Well, in
Here,
the
I'll-
witchy tradition that I'm a part of or was raised up in, I guess you could say, Samhain was the beginning of the year. as
Yes,
opposed to
some
Yule,
people, yeah.
which is something I could add, and that also being not just a harvest, but also that's when everything, obviously in October, everything is starting to turn brown. And so it's a celebration also, because the day after Halloween is celebrated as the Day of the Dead. And it's a day of the All Souls Day and everything. And so for me, that's a really sacred, one of the most sacred times of the year for me. And tuning in with the ancestors, tuning in, like feeling like that other side, whether it's being like the ancestors' other side, the ghosts have gone, people from the forest, or being able to tune in just in general with like this thin veil. And so people are often having lots of different kinds of experiences. We've seen this a lot in the store, but sometimes people are having like just getting pretty whacked out during that time. Like almost like you're going, okay, come on down, you're all right. Get grounded here. Because when the veil is thin, it's people can get more ungrounded and more sort of like flaky than. Go ahead.
I don't like to say flaky because people have been saying that about us for centuries. People become more in tune with the other side, but they some lose it because they didn't learn the lesson of how important grounding is
Yeah.
when you're flying high. This is a high energy. If it's a high energy time, if you're putting in a 400-watt bulb, you don't want your body at 100. So you've got to ground. You've got to ground. Because my grandmother told me the higher you want to fly, the better you got to be grounded, unless you just ask them to be locked away.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some people, and it's like me, but full moon, I don't like taking restrictions on full moon. I love it unless I've got to work. Because it doesn't matter how much I try to bring myself down. On a full moon, if I can go to sleep, my body will wake up at a certain time, and you can bet the moon will be at its fullest because it just seems to think I should be attending it. Hey, what are you looking for? It's just it's a feeling of like rushing bubbles through your body, and you can't sleep through that. So I get a lot done during the full moon, either I want to or not.
Yeah. And that's another, I mean, that's just another way of saying how this is to surrender to it, really, like, oh, this is what's going on instead of fighting against it. So,
Full moon, not
yeah.
sleeping.
yeah.
Get up.
And also, if like we were just saying about selling, for example, if to recognize the importance of that so that you can enjoy the fullness of the summer while also taking care of yourself. So you know you're gonna make it through, around here between Yule and Imbolc gets pretty rough, So to know like this is it, the natural thing for me to super turn within, and there's a an embryonic gestation of whatever's gonna come about in a month, in 2 months, 3 months, later on, as things start to emerge. And so I just find that really beautiful. I find it helpful. I find it beautiful, and the grounding piece is important because we have some. Yeah, I agree. You can use the word flaky or not, but it is
It's different.
it's tricky when somebody comes in and you're like, obviously, we've seen and heard some things, and it's like people think that because we're into these things, or we work here, whatever, that we're gonna be like, oh yeah, yeah. So we're like, come on, you're gonna be okay. And it's good, like if we didn't know about this particular thing,
We wouldn't be able to handle it.
yeah,
We'd be reacting like everybody
Right.
else.
Right.
because it affects all of us, and you know what I mean. Even people who don't have any, like zero interest in this, they just think it's about something else.
Yeah, they don't understand it. People always are like, it's a full moon. Like the moon affects the tides. Your body's
Yeah.
71% water. How do you not get, like, scientifically, how do you not understand
Yeah,
that? And they're like,
really.
you and your moons and tides.
Because the
duh."
hospital tell you to do that.
Yeah,
It's
and
full
police-
moon.
police
And the hospitals are one of the worst people because they're expecting all the crap to hit the fan.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
They don't expect anything good to come out of it. And then the nurses that I know are any about a full moon coming, they're cringy.
They are.
What was that stone you said I needed?
Load 'em in the pocket.
And then also it's Samhain, and you'll notice that like spelling and the pronunciation sometimes doesn't always
Totally
add up.
different.
Gaelic is cray to me. The way it's spelled and the way you say it are like okay. But people are also like people want to connect more. They want more reading,
Mhm.
right? Like there's a big uptick right around Halloween, and some people are like, it's more jokey, but I think some
Yeah.
people,
Is
some
my
people are more-
grandmother closer now? Oh no, she's on the other side of the universe. She's visiting someone right now because contrary to beliefs, dead people don't linger around until you need them.
Yeah, that would be annoying
That
if I
would
sat
be
around waiting.
annoying.
Yeah.
I am sure both my sons today yank me back and forth down here. Once I go to my rest, I will make Family the horror look like a walk in the park. But
Oh,
it
yeah.
is, our ancestors, they love us and they want to help. But my grandmother, to make sure I got the message, actually came through two other, because I don't build myself as a medium, I don't do mediumship. They came in and told me, your grandmother says you've evolved enough, you don't need her that close anymore. So she's not coming.
Mm.
How'd you feel about that?
Well,
You were so
Well,
confident.
Good, but-
Hello?
I
but
felt
annoyed,
felt good. And not annoyed. I just
But-
felt, okay, well, maybe she's going one of the, no, she just said that we were all good and safe and she'd given us everything that she was meant to give us. And now the next part of her journey was something that she had to do,
Oh,
be
okay.
focused on.
But-
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
but she did come to tell me when my mom wasn't there anymore. She did come to tell me when my mom came back to her. So
Oh.
she said I didn't even call her because she done what she needed to do and she had moved on.
Oh.
But no, I thought it was really funny
Very
that, and every now and again she'll send messages like, "Don't kill that child."
Still illegal. Still illegal. Oh, you want to? Write it in.
But no, the dead love you, but they also realize the justice in life. We are here as guidance, as helpers, but all of our jobs are to get you to your place of power. It is. And then the only thing we need to leave you is knowing that we love you as much or even more over here than we did over here. There's none of the human stuff to come between it. There's none of the, oh my God, I must be a bad mother, because you know the minute you think you're a bad mother, you start shrieking. And you want to say good, loving things, but you're shrieking because you're terrified. That doesn't happen on the other side. When my grandmother passed over, she didn't come and see me for a long time. When she did, she was a dwarf. I mean, she was my grandmother from here on up to here, but her legs were just a stub. She was wrapped in this dingy sheet. And my grandmother could make black stuff look white, sparkly, okay? And the town that I met her in was all gray. And we sat on a pier and she leaned against me and said, "Kitty, I'm still tired. I want you to know I'm okay, but I'm still tired." And we just sat there till the sun came up. And then the town began to lighten, the gray began to go away, and she kissed me, and I didn't see her again for at least 8 months.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And when she came, she brought my mother's soul with her.
Oh.
Okay.
She said, "Okay, you guys need to get this handled."
Oh.
Because
Okay.
I still had issues
Oh, okay.
from over, and my mother loving me, knowing that even though that wasn't her, still gave me the benefit of leaving me alone until I wanted, because I didn't want her. So my grandmother.
Nope.
Oh, am I gonna say some neat shit? You.
Okay.
Right.
So what are some ways that you ladies celebrate the holidays, the cross-border holidays and the equinox?
Well, since I'm a confirmed crone, I do not really celebrate Beltane. Because I'm about as thrilled about sex as the cow is about having its food pulled.
Oh.
So I do not,
You can
I
still wear
dance.
flowers.
Yes, but then the male creatures think that you're trying to
Oh,
attract them, and then I have to hurt them.
Oh,
That's not
okay.
really what Beltane's about.
Okay, all right, all right.
Because so Beltane is, I enjoy the fact of things growing. I really, but my time of time is Samhain and Maban, because in autumn and stuff I come alive. Now see, that's what's different. Everybody thinks that it's spring, but I come alive in autumn.
No,
Everything
yeah.
is, I feel
Well, I
alive.
feel-
I feel like thinking about Beltane. That's what's that's my
I think we
time.
all
That's
feel a
where the
little
energy-
extra witchy. Not just
fall.
because,
Yeah.
but yeah.
It's more the, I mean, come on, after a certain age, even younger, we didn't really care for pinks and yellows and greens, but now you give us orange and reds and brown. There's something more earthy about it. There's something more that makes you remember what it is to be female, to be a life giver, because we give life in so many different ways, just give birth. So to see the fruits of life come there, you know, there are some of us that we don't care about the starting points. We want to see the end product. Okay, pregnant, 9 months. Okay, got it. And then Yule is the only time when everybody, even the crankiest person, tries to be nice. Them's my times. Them's my time.
Did you used to gather with groups?
I
for
did. I've
celebrating?
never been in a coven. I've been told that I have no respect for authority. And what are they talking about? I have no respect for stupidity. And I don't know what name it comes under, and it's stupid. It's stupid. But yeah, with Krista and them, we are all eclectic. We were all solitary. So yes, we would meet out by the dam, and we would for like Litha, carry calling the fairies and have fairy wine and stuff like that. That's where I burnt my, because it was my turn to like the ceremonial things, and I decided to wear my biggest witchy cloak, and my arms caught on fire. And I'm like an idiot standing there watching them burn. And of course, my sisters and brothers, half of them were laughing out of the ground. And Crystal's little sister is crying because she's not without my, and I'm flapping, which really doesn't help them.
Yes,
But to do that, to be with the fairies and to watch the fireflies go around, because either we picked a really good place, but it was filled with fireflies, and so there was twinkling and everything. That was fun, and we would have fruits and stuff like that, and we would celebrate. But I have never ever been part of a coven. I'm an eclectic witch, and I believe the word witch means anyone who practices living in harmony with the earth and with everybody else, of knowing that they don't need take anything from anybody else in order to be better. So therefore, I never grew up on a calendar. My grandmother is a witch, but she ain't a witch. She worked with herbs, she worked with stuff, she didn't do spells, she prayed. And when my grandmother prayed, everything happened. So I claim the word witch because it's like something that was taken away from us. It was never meant to be something horrible. If you're a horrible person, then you're a horrible Catholic, you're a horrible Christian, you're just a horrible person. It had nothing, but they made it into something. I always tell people, if I didn't eat my own children, you don't have to worry about me eating yours. Now, when mine disappears, then you worry.
Yep.
But people have known me for years, and then I say the word witch, and all of a sudden they're watching me like I'm going to steal their rabbit. And it's like, really? Have you ever known a serial killer come and say, "Hey, I'm a serial killer. I'm visiting you next Wednesday"?
No, can I just pick that wild sage growing in your yard?
Yeah.
That you're probably gonna mow over anyway. Can I do that?
Yeah, so let me have those dandelions.
Right.
But I claim it because they made such a mockery out of it. They made such a mockery out of people who were healers and who were there and who were willing to. You don't want to meditate, so someone goes in and meditates for you. That's it. They go in and find the answer for you. So everybody, when someone says the word witch, you have to you have to listen to what they're saying. If someone says they're a witch and they sacrifice the baby, they're not a witch, they're a Satanist. Okay? So I would prefer if you did not use the term witch. You're celebrating something that has nothing to do with the earth or healing, because everything in nature dies and lives at its assumed time. Nature does not force it to die or live. Not witch. Maybe witch with a B.
Probably.
I
I will claim that one from time to time.
Yeah, but that's needed. The bitch
Yeah,
goddess
yeah.
needs love too.
Yeah.
Bitch goddess goes up there and defends her child when the teacher's not right. But it's just, which is, I like the term eclectic because that's what I am. I use some of this. I use herbs, but I need her to go with me because I may poison you with something. I'm not going to tell you, I will not going to say, I'm going to make this potion for you. I'm going to say, see this herb? Go and find an herbalist and have them make you a tincture. Because with me, it's going to be the death or healing.
Right. And I don't need the letter.
Witch, go into the woods and find my way? Hell no, I'll be dead before I get out of that wood. tie a string around my waist, I'm good to go. But as for
Oh my God, I hang myself
yeah,
with a
Cindy
string.
Rich.
Oh my God,
It's
that's
just
funny.
what you believe the term to be. And to practice the craft is different from being a witch, because the craft is kind of more layered. It's more steps in text. I've just learned from my grandmother, put this on your face, the pimple will go away. Drink this, you ain't getting sick. Because I know how much I enjoy tasting it. I'm sure the sickness didn't like it. It's different from what you are. But you meet a traditional witch in England like I did, and oh my God, he wanted to teach me this, and he expected me to know this, and I go, what? So, okay, I know that part. We should not be in a fairy circle after it gets dark. But why are they all like, is that their period time? Why? Because that's a little stereotypical. Oh, if they're dark fairies, they're bad. So if you're saying that at nighttime, all the drunken fairies come out, the nice fairies go home, and if you're in that circle, your ass is grass. But it is just the fact that a lot of people are afraid of the dark. So I really wanted to know. I wasn't contesting their belief. I wanted to know if that is just a tradition of most people being afraid of the dark and saying that the dark always had something scary.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to know. I've always been a why.
Yeah.
And,
And that's good. Yeah.
and if I get into something where they won't let me ask why, then I just cheerfully back my butt up and get out. Because if I can't ask why, then you're just following rote of something somebody told you. And to me, the craft is always evolving. It's learning more. It's making it better. Always, no matter what you do, leave what you found better than what you found. That's the only rule that I've put. So that's why I've been told by a lot of high priestesses I have no respect for authority. One asked me, a lot of my friends did join COVID. They actually told they wouldn't let them hang out with us if we were not COVID.
Oh.
So the high priestess, when they would came up, I asked her, I was talking to her and she said, well, who made you a priestess? And I thought she was joking. And I just looked at her and went back to talking to Krista. She said, well, who made you a priestess? I said, the goddess. Oh, she said, well, that's very bold of you. I said, well, who the hell made you a priestess? Well, I was indoctrinated by my priestess who comes from a line. I go, and who do you think made them priestesses? They didn't go into Walmart back then. They didn't, oh, I got a cave, I'm a witch. It was a calling. It was you could not help but know, just like she knows what herb. She's definitely a hedge witch. She knows the earth speaks to her in plain English. Whereas it looks at me and goes, okay, there's no hope for this.
Is that a wintergreen berry?
Yeah. It looks pretty. It should taste good.
It smells good.
It is just what your heart, what your soul is drawn to. Then you know where you from. You know which part of the craft speaks most to you. There's no one who does anything. There's a neurologist and there is a cardiologist. Do you want a neurologist working on your heart? Because no, they didn't exactly study it. They're going for the brain, and your heart does not look like a brain. So look at which part of the craft draws you, and you will know where your soul most comes from. And mine is just healing. It always has been. And I'm perfectly happy with saying, okay, I'm seeing this herb. Find an herbologist and let them make you a tincture. I've seen it. Go get it. I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this. Really, this fruit would really be good for you right now. Talk to a nutritionist. Let's not overwhelm ourselves. Always start with the least amount and see where it builds. Because 2 packs of blueberries a day might be great for my sister, but 2 packs of blueberries for you, I see a lot of time in the bathroom. So I'm perfectly happy with where my strength is. I don't need to fill out all of the rest because I know my sisters and brothers are all around and I can just send you to her. Go talk to her, doctor. She knows what that is.
I have taken a very different path than Kathy has, and I mean, my women's spirituality stuff, I mean, exactly when it comes, but we have initiation.
I have nothing against.
No,
initiation.
I know you don't. I mean, it's been,
You had a good experience, whereas
Yes.
we had bad experiences.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
mine wasn't though, we aren't even a coven, you know, it's a,
You're in a clique. You're a sisters who work
Yeah.
together.
I mean, I have a lineage, right? A woman who initiated a woman who
Mhm.
initiated a woman, but it was all about empowerment, not about rules and hierarchy. It's been about what's wanting to come forward out of you, and then you don't live that, you want, you feel like that, like a public one, you know? And that was what lit me up. It was
Mhm.
terrifying also, by the way. It was, you know, it was scary, but it was then what I knew I needed to do. And so now I initiate other women. In fact, next weekend I'm initiating like 15 or 16 women as priestesses. And it's not I'm making them a priestess. It's exactly what you said. The God has called them into this. So they're all like, what if we, you know, initially they're like, who and what? And what? They start getting a little nervous.
Yeah.
Wait,
Am I binding myself to
and
someone?
I'm like,
you know?
yeah, let's be clear here. I'm not, this isn't a network marketing scheme.
Mhm.
I don't
You
want,
don't bring in two, I don't bring in
no,
two.
and I don't want the responsibility of your karma. I'm just giving, I have the authority by the goddess by virtue of doing my own commitment and my own practice to acknowledging the wheel, to meaning that I notice what's going on. You know, I notice.
You
I
share
have a
what you know,
relationship. I'm
and
sharing
you let them find their own path.
exactly, and so it's always like it's not like it's just one thing, right? Like all of them are like, but you can imagine. Okay, I'm gonna do this training with you. So you think there's an A plus a B equals the C, and then I'm this thing, and that's what the mind wants to figure out.
Mhm.
But I'm always like, what wants to come out of you? What wants to come out of you? But she over there, we're not talking about her over there. Well, 5 of them are, well, what about you? You know, it doesn't matter if you don't have any interest or any experience in the rituals, ceremony, green witch stuff, you know, yeah, the hedge witchy stuff. If you don't see yourself as a healer or a psychic, or you know, like, what's your thing? There's lots. Whatever is your thing is your thing. So that's been the way that I was raised up in this is like initially I was initiated as a witch and about having anxiety attack trying to go into that. What?
What'd you say this tree
Really?
did?
Well, it was more the initiation part at the end of the training with shamanic plant listening, and I knew I wanted that back, but like my DNA was freaking out about being called a witch. It was terrifying to me. Terrifying. I thought they already want to like think I'm a wackadoo, you know? Like, but my body, I felt like I was to die for being called a witch because
Because of many
Oh,
times
what
that
happened
you
to in
have.
the past. Yeah.
more than once.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I had that
Not pleasant.
so strong, and not only that, but you know, I have like Kathy, but I didn't know most of these women in my lineage. I have Norse ancestry of Sami shamanesses. I have who once they got to the United States, it was more like spiritualist church stuff and speaking in tongues and working with Detroit police and psychics. You know, I didn't know those women, but they were my great grandmothers, great grandmothers. I have my Native American grandmother, great grandmother, who was the daughter of a medicine man, and they say was a medicine woman herself, but there's no documented proof of that. You know, and
Everybody wants
and-
to.
and after that generation was when they started to take the kids out of the homes. So my great grandmother, so great grandmother, was when they were removing Native American children because my Norwegian ancestors were saying, well, y'all can't be here, you gotta go have you gotta have your own school somewhere else. They can't go to school there. White kids. You know, so I got to see some of this through the ancestry work that I've done in the last year. There's you know, the dismantling of the fear, of the misconception, of the error, and the embodiment for my own self of all of these years of feeling okay, safe. How many years Kathy spent telling me, would you just quit caring about what everybody else thinks, for God's sake? I'm gonna smack you up.
Yeah.
You know, I
I
mean,
believe in the love
She
it.
says that every day. I'm gonna smack you.
Because
Yeah.
that's what my grandmother would
right?
do. She would, you ever see Moon with Cher, where she slaps and snap out of it? That's my grandmother. Because she has told you 4,000 times and told you in English, do not listen. So every day when you need something, she will.
But anyway, so I mean, I think that foundationally, my teachers and mentors, and been my mentor since like 2003, helped me to grow up as well as Kat helped me grow up, as well as the old school crew, the higher self, as well as other people as a woman, as a witch, a woman of power, as a mother, you know, as a teacher and healer myself. And it takes some time to dismantle that patriarchal idea for some of us. I mean, for me, it's taken a lot to be like, feel free. To feel free to really allow for the intuitive impulse to be the thing. And like, I don't need to prove this to anybody. I don't need to prove it to you. I'm not a monkey, or I don't need to give you my credentials. If I'm leading other people, I think that it's a very good thing to have. You know, if I'm training up other people, I feel very much willing to say I've been working with my people for 20 years. I got people who call me out and people I can call on when, you know, I got stuff up. But otherwise, so that's what's been really beautiful about having a would-be coven, I guess you could say, because
Well, you
there's
have
no,
a sisterhood.
yes,
Mhm.
And
that's
that's
it.
what a coven was meant to be.
That's
But
exactly
again,
right.
like witch, like the word witch, coven has been destroyed. It's been become secretive. And I know I'm not gonna go out and tell somebody I'm applying for a job or I'm a witch. It's none of their business. I didn't ask you what your religion was, but I am not going to allow fear of being found out. Our coming out ceremony, the ceremony that we have, we get bathed and we put on something white and flowing. And we can have flowers in our hair or whatever, but we have to stand under a full moon and full moonlight. We raise our arms and we literally, you may call it calling the moon, but we stand there and we repeat. Here I stand before you, God, Goddess, all that is, ready to become all that you have meant me to be. Here I stand before you, ready to be everything that I could be. And we let the energy come. And every time I raise my hand, I get the same effect as that first night. And you're scared, she's well, I can be okay. I'll be this, but don't make me be that. And you cannot. All your grandmother and their aunt, they're standing around you, and you feel the ancestors. You feel the thousands of women who have come before you, and you can't. You can be afraid, and you will cry because it feels so good, and you want everybody to feel that. And this is what the
One of the reasons the IR Sisterhood is like one of my favorite movies. And people are like, why do you like it? Do you not understand? Like, I'm like, do you not just see this amazingness going on in this movie?
It has, but that's our ceremony. That is, I'm ready to become all that I am. I'm ready to be what I came to. God doesn't make junk, so if he made you that way, that's what he intends you to be.
So how do you find out like what's coming forward, what you're being called for, what like
What keeps repeating itself? What keeps coming to you? Even if you push it away, it keeps coming back.
I don't even know,
Like she said, what lights you up?
Mhm.
yeah, let's
Like for me, I will never stop.
Well,
I will be probably 83 years old in a walker, shimmying with my walker. Right?
but because you do that, you probably will never leave.
Yeah.
Because you do not see Arab and Egyptian women with hip problems.
I don't know, I'm a hairstylist. I can't. I mean, I was called to be a hairstylist before I even knew what it was. I mean, I wasn't around any of it, and my life. I was in 6th grade, I was gonna be a gypsy and I was just gonna travel all over the world. And I didn't need money because I didn't need money. And then, so they had money, but I had money. And then the career tech center came in and I saw a hairstylist for the first time and I'm not home. I'm gonna be a hairstylist. She said, that's cute. You're gonna go to school and get a real job. So then I went into law.
And so you're
and-
still belittling the fact that you have a beautiful gift. You know how
I
many
love my
women,
gift.
you know how many women, like, I put some mousse on it, that's it. But if I wanted something special,
Yeah.
or if I wanted to feel special, everything belittle it. I will never belittle a prostitute because I still believe in sacred prostitution. They do something I will never do, but they
Right.
used to do it out of love. They used to do it as a service, and then men came in and made it something horrible. They made it dirty.
Well,
And you
also they're
belittle
taking
it.
care
You
of
have a
children
gift.
too.
You have a yes. That is your gift.
Mhm.
It is. It doesn't. You don't need a ceremony. You don't need a hat. You don't need anything that designates that. Your heart is tuned to this. When you're doing this, you're in the flow of your magic. You are right then casting a beautiful spell for who's
Yeah,
ever in your
right.
chair.
Like I was called, and like I could do it the rest of my life. Dancing is another thing too, and stage, anything on
Yep.
stage is like that's
You're
where
the
I am like,
sacred entertainer.
Yeah.
You are.
Before it
There's your
was,
gift.
okay.
before it
you
was
stop
on
That's
the
one of those.
stage.
That's the thing.
Yep.
Like okay, so then I'm in.
No,
Yes.
you're a figment of our
Okay,
imagination,
well,
and we're just on
And
popsicles.
sometimes it's like I, need somebody to point out like she did, but like there's a couple of priestess books out now, and one of the women that wrote, I think it's just called Priestess. Blanking on her name. Julie Suzanne Parker, or something like that. She's from Australia, and she broke it down in all these different ways, and some of them like, some of it is like categories that we would commonly think of, right? Like the healer and the seer and the blah blah blah, the initiator, I don't know what else.
Yeah.
But she talked about the purifier priestess and how important it is, like for the person who sees the aesthetic and is whatever way that is. But like how we, how Mary's always adorning her hair with the feathers and the flowers and things. And it's in essence, it's a sacred adornment thing. And to, whatever, whether you want to wear makeup or you don't want to wear makeup, you do, and you're doing it in a place of like, this is my sacred adornment. This is a part. Sometimes I wear feathers in my hair. Sometimes I wear braids in my hair. Sometimes I wear makeup. Sometimes I don't. And it's all for me, over time anyways, been a part of returning to that, like we get to like I always loved how dress up the same. Yeah. And then when I started doing these women's spirituality or witchy, whatever gatherings, and they're like, women are coming in and they're wearing all these wild outfits. They're like, and then it started getting like Renaissance festivals and all of the different festivals, and people are really dressed up with all these different kinds of things and belly dancers. I'm like, am I allowed to do this? Can I dress up like that too? Right?
Yeah.
So I think that that goes to theater, that goes to entertainers, that goes to your industry very, very, very well, and helping recognize the biggest part of it is that, and I give thanks every time I walk in and out of that salon, is that I get to create and I get to choreograph and create. They release and I get to hear their story. That is the part that keeps me coming back for more healing.
You just are doing it in a different way. Nothing is one-sided. Healing doesn't say medicine. Healing doesn't say a herb. Healing could be is just touching someone. Healing is just accepting the fact, I know it's terrible. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I get to cry about
It is.
women that have lost their children.
And they're-
like,
And they're healing in that, and you think that that's not worthwhile?
no,
That
it
person
is-
could be lost if you hadn't been there.
love
Or
it,
they could have gotten somebody go, yeah, that's great, whatever. Do you want curls on this side? So again, someone else belittling what they feel.
I mean, I was called, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't even know how to braid.
It
back
was
then.
you.
I
It
did
was
nothing.
It was your soul. Your soul
Yeah.
knows how to do it.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's who you are.
All right, at least I've got one thing going for me.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I've got
Right
a lot.
now.
Looks like I've got one thing that I recognize.
I think too, we're so programmed from early childhood to like, the norm. You're like, what the heck is the norm? Like, I am normal. Well, no,
Where's the
Rachel, you're
book?
weird. Like, well, I'm normal for me. So
I'm
what-
normally weird.
I'm normally weird. Like,
Or to go like seek and find out what you're supposed to do when you grow up instead of like,
What's in
we're not
here?
taught
Right.
to
We
like,
go look out there.
yeah, it's such a different.
well, no, like, you know, lawyer, doctor, da da da
Yeah.
da. da,
How much
and
money
it's
am I
like-
gonna make?
Yeah, and you're like, that's what somebody asked me the other day, how much money do you make? And I said, I don't know. I was like, what do you mean you don't know? That's bad business. I was like, my bills are paid and I can continue to do what I want to do. So like, I don't keep track. I don't have to. What I do, I don't have to keep track. Like, oh, I harvested, 10 pounds dandelion today.
Yeah.
What, how
it's
much
hard-
money does that? I'm like, who knows?
It depends on how many livers are acting up right now.
It depends when like, somebody's sob story or like, somebody comes up and tells me like what they got going on. I'm like, okay, well, take it, try it.
Because the
You know.
universe will send it to you whenever they
Right, and I'm
need
like, bills are paid, and my kid is fed, and animals are running amok.
you. Yeah. What
Life
forest
is good.
Don't eat the dandelion.
Don't-
animals. Don't eat the dandelions.
Yeah, so we're always programmed to like try to fit this mold that they have, which is just
But if everybody was a doctor,
Who'd
who
be
would
sick?
build the hospitals and who would drive the
well, like,
ambulances?
like there's
You know,
a shortage right now for trade skills.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because everybody's trying to do something that's going to make them a lot of money. It's going to make everybody happy. But there's nothing you can choose to be in this life that's going to make everybody happy. So you've got to make sure the choice you make is going to be the choice that makes you happy. Because therefore you will instill the idea in other people to be happy instead of putting one more grumpy person on the earth.
Yeah.
Grumpy seems to come easily. Happy, you gotta work
You're grumpy because you're tasting the dollar.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be the one on the deathbed where, oh, why is she dying? We're going to miss her. Why is she going? I don't want to be the one. Why isn't she dead yet? She's been bitching all the year. Why doesn't she just die?
You're funny. I love it.
Yeah. She's good medicine. She
It
is.
is, what do you want them to remember? I'm going to put on my tombstone, my grandchildren love her pork chop. Because they love my pork chop. They even told their other grandma, grandma, don't make pork chops. That's grandma. We'll take some hot dogs. I'm not eating that. Those are not grandma. So I'm going out with my best thing. My grandchildren love my pork chop.
Nice. There you go. Next Monday, we will be expecting pork chops.
I was seriously just like, oh, before time.
No. Because by the time my kids are done, I done that one meal per day. So there's no telling what I have for dinner because I'm still the Jewish grandmother. Every time I throw out food, a bit of my heart dies.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't want it. So unless I know Zach and Andrew are gonna be here, I don't make any big deal. They will clear up everything so I can have what I want and not worry about going out to this because I'll eat two and I'll be content. Now I got a whole rack, but Zach will come in there and look like I
Oh
only gave
my.
him one because they're gone. Did you? Yep, they're gone. So now that I got outside children that will take up the slack, yeah, I make beans, I make my grandmother recipes and stuff. They eat it. So I can make chicken stew and I love chicken stew, but after 4 bowls of it, I don't want more chicken stew.
Yeah. 3 days in a row. No.
Begin the clock.
So yeah, and my celebration of the holidays has been a lot with others and a lot by myself. And sometimes I've shared it with my children, and sometimes it's just really adding in an outing outdoors. For me, it's like, I don't need to make this a special day. There's the energy is already making it a special day. And that is really how I've celebrated it most. And if I add in an activity to like acknowledge that, great. And if I don't, great.
Great.
Mhm. So I haven't been super strict with it, but I have attended, like summer solstice, often it's been, let's go to some kind of music thing and then go meet up on the beach and hoot and holler and go skinny dipping.
Cause I was with you till that last part.
I mean, I was always one of the last ones to be like, don't put it in the Lake Michigan without even with clothes on. Or
Yeah, this is just stupid, but okay, for my wine cooler. This feels good. Oh, my God, I can't swim.
I can't on one pool, like,
Well, just drag my dead body up, and I passed out in the water.
But, I think this is just a framework to acknowledge what it is, but also in place of, like, if somebody grew up in like a more structured religious type thing and you want to replace those holidays with something more authentic to yourself, there are some predecessors to the holidays we all tend to celebrate that are kind of
Because
cool.
Easter is a star.
Right.
Yeah.
Yule
it
is Christmas.
So Yule is Christmas,
I noticed that right off.
Easter. Sorry, I'm blocking. Halloween.
Beltane is May Day.
Yeah. Groundhog Day. So, so what would happen is, and when the church would go into a certain area and say, well, we have a holiday just like yours, and try to get people to come on to our church. And sometimes it was more friendly, sometimes it was not, sometimes it was do this or you die. You know what I mean? So yeah, I will say, like, Alexander, because he took over, I forget how much of the world, but at least he allowed, the people to keep their religion. So, not that it's good to take over the world, but at least he did that. At least he allowed people to
He was bored,
I wasn't going to say bored, I was going to say driven. And then while I'm up here, because we haven't done, so this is solar. This is all about, like the sun coming and going. And so we also have the phases of the moon. So there's the new moon and full moon. So this is in relation, I forgot to put the earth here, but this is, so imagine the earth is here. And so this is how we see the phases of the moon so here's the sun shining the light. So if this helps. So that after you have the new moon, and that's a good time to do like maybe get, like start something new. Cleanse your house, cleanse your tools, cleanse your stones. And then the moon is waxing, getting bigger, until you have the full moon. So there's the first quarter and third quarter. And then after the full moon, the moon is getting smaller. So that's a good time to do any magic or intentions if you want to get rid of something.
When?
Oh, I was like,
no,
you want to get rid of?
y'all want to get rid of this fly?
Yeah,
Get rid of it on the waning or the.
Yeah. So
Okay.
as the moon is getting smaller, smaller, if there's a habit you want to get rid of, or if you want to get rid of obstacles, and as the moon is waxing, that's a good time to have things grow, whether it's plants or your bank account or what have you. So days of power can be like, because we've got these 8 big ones throughout the year, the days of power can also be on the monthly basis.
So if you're gonna do something for the waxing for the full moon, that you want to do. It's the day before, the full moon, and the day after. It's 3 days.
Yeah, so,
So that's with all of them. If you do it on a waning, it's the day before, the day of the waning, and the day after.
what were you gonna say? Looked like you had something to add.
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, I know. So we call, well, it can be called, those are the like Sabbats.
Mhm,
And these are the Esbats.
Yes.
Mhm.
The different.
Yeah, when you read the
So-
Wiccan books, there'll be the
Okay.
Sabbath. There'll be the
So esbat comes from a French word meaning to frolic.
Hold on, I spell Sabbat first.
SABB, Sabbath, AT.
Similar to Sabbath with
Mhm.
an H at the end, like Black Sabbath.
But in the Creole, Sabbath,
Sabbat.
no H.
Sabbat,
We don't
and
do
then.
H.
what is it? Esbat,
Okay, thank you. Okay. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm
no,
still
that's
ADD.
it.
Esbat comes from.
Oh, it comes from a French word, and I don't speak French, so I'm not gonna say it, because I'll butcher it, but it comes from a root, meaning to frolic. So, because it's a funny word.
Frolic
this-
days.
Yeah.
These are frolic days.
So there are people that will say for the Sabbath, you shouldn't do work, because it's a holy day where we get our word holiday, holy day. So you shouldn't do any work, and you should only do work on the SBAC. But then I find it funny because the word SBAC comes from a word meaning to frolic, like not work.
Uh-huh,
yeah.
So I would say do what
Feels right.
what feels right. And so if you feel like doing some sort of like for instance, so next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, I have Midsummer Circle here. And so I'm gonna use the midsummer tree. And people are going to write wishes on ribbons and we don't have an actual tree here. But like you could go to a tree, you could tie your ribbon, which is an ancient Celtic tradition, putting your wish in a ribbon, tying it to a tree, nice, like gently, and something that will so ribbon made from like something like cotton, so it can disintegrate and not hurt Mother Earth. So if you want to do some sort of working on a Sabbath, I feel that that's acceptable if they're feeling called to do that.
But for me, when you need it, you need it. If you need money when the moon is waning, then you release poverty.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
need money when the moon is waxing, then you welcome in prosperity. That's the only difference. Well, you can't get money, and if you need something, what if your car breaks down when it's waning? I release this bill into the universe. I release this owing, this release it. Release the fear of not getting it fixed.
Where are we in moon phase right now?
It is.
Or we getting close to wax.
It is waxing.
It's wax.
Yeah, I forget, yeah,
It
because
might be
because I just made, because it was on
First quarter?
Thursday. Yeah, Thursday was new moon. And so I on Thursday I made black salts. Because I like to make the black salts
I
on
went
new
on a
moon.
motorcycle ride
Oh,
on Friday.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, because it's from
Yeah,
Saturday and I
yeah.
was so tired. And the moon was just the teeniest, tiniest sliver.
That's my
Oh,
favorite.
Yes.
That's my
I got
favorite.
it. My
I
friend sent me a
love it when
picture.
it's the sliver.
I was
Yeah.
on Mackinac Island.
Why? Because mom can't see what we're doing?
No, because it's a smile. It's a smile to me.
It was just so delicate, you know? And I
Yeah.
wouldn't have seen it if I had gone right.
Look at this.
Yes, let's come.
My friend sent me that from Wisconsin. I was Mackinac Island, but we were already in bed by this time at night because we had a
Oh,
wedding to
okay.
do in the morning. But isn't that just, it's so beautiful, the
Oh.
colors and then just that little like sliver.
So that's a good practice to get into though, as I asked you that, is just notice like until you can kind of tune into where you're at each phase of the moon, like kind of,
When
Yeah,
you
I
recognize
bet.
that you're buzzing like crazy.
Yeah,
no, I
You
need
know
to.
the moon's
And
coming
have
up.
it on your calendar,
Yeah.
or like Kathy and I always, did you ever use the moon calendar?
I bought it, but I didn't like it because I really like the Llewellyn.
Okay,
Yeah, the
So there's-
Llewellyn has a lot more.
there's different,
Yeah.
moon calendars or calendars that, like Welland has a witchy calendar that
Mhm.
has lots of different information on it that helps like with paying attention to the moon phases as well as the
Moon-
astrological.
Like void of
influences.
course.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah,
understand.
I don't understand that either.
But, it depends on your interest.
I'm sure there's.
Yes,
an-
there
oh,
are
there's
moon
an-
apps.
Okay, okay.
But it's cool because you can also track the women's cycles, moods.
Yeah, yeah.
and period, that stuff according to the moon and your energy levels, and for a while, one of the things that my teacher had me do was to do that. I had to celebrate for first couple years, I had to fit in all of the holy days. And some of them needed to be with people and some of them could just be with me, and I need to celebrate the new moons and full moons within a year, like in some formalish way, not necessarily with people, but. And she wanted me to track my moon time, my blood moon time with the moon, as well as just notice if there's anything else I noticed. What do you notice during these times? And over the course of the year, is there a pattern? And maybe there is, and maybe there isn't, and what is it? So that was really interesting, and I think that is how our ancestors lived.
Yeah.
They noticed because they weren't as distracted.
Yeah,
as-
there's so much.
They weren't watching TikTok.
They were not.
But also, what was, we talked about earlier though too, what there was an understanding that I didn't need to go to a doctor to tell me about certain things because we were
Tuned to our bodies.
we were
Yeah.
tuned to our bodies and nature.
Tuned to the earth.
Mhm.
Well, and our cycles are supposed to go with the moons. Like 28-day cycle goes with the 28-day moon phase. Like you're
Mhm.
supposed to, can't remember when you're supposed to start your period, but I think it's supposed to be not the halfway through the new moon. I need to
It's-
stop
well,
taking notes. 'cause I was
something-
looking at
but
the time.
you will
So
get-
there was always a moon for me.
You probably have a like a cycle flow still.
I do, yes,
Yeah.
I do, absolutely. Mhm.
It would be cool to watch.
Yeah.
So I wrote it down. I put like a little red drop on my calendar. Back when I-
Yeah.
Here it is. These are the days.
Mhm.
And then when I noticed like, oh yeah, I'm like super, let's just say riled up certain
Yeah.
times of the month. Oh, it's not just full moon. I'm like ovulating too.
Yeah.
And then, because my cycle would change,
Mm.
sometimes it was depending on if I was living with a bunch of
Yeah.
men or,
Yeah.
whatever. So, so to just be like, oh no, I'm always really horny around when I am ovulating. Okay, so this may not have anything to do with attraction.
I love babies. What do I have to make her feel to get her to give me baby?
He's hot. Like a week later, he's not so hot.
Yep,
Yeah.
there it goes.
Oh,
Not be bothered. So it's very interesting.
nature is very sneaky.
Oh my
She
gosh,
wanted to make
before
sure.
They were crossed.
Well, life is raw. It is not always sugar plums and fairy. And if we cannot deal with the rawness, if we start putting things in a dark box, if we start, like, I understand what her priestess saw her the way because technically we're taught to hate our periods. This is a gift from God. This says that you can give life if you wish to, but the universe has taken it away and it's taken away the beauty of it. I would love it if they still had the red tent. We all go away, no men, go to the red tent, eat some chocolate, eat some butt.
Yeah.
No TV, no phone, no mom, where's my dog? This is mommy's sacred time.
Leave me alone.
It was we have been taught to just hate everything about being vagina keepers. It's to be belittled, it's to be lessened. We are no more than another word that they use for cat. that is a sacred space. Unless you come and bring in some good stuff, you don't get to go in that sacred space, and dinner don't cut it.
Right, right.
We've been taught to lessen our value so that other people can treat us like nothing. No, that's not what I would teach my daughter, and it's not what I would teach my granddaughter.
Not what I
Teach my
teach
son.
my son.
No, women are not a convenience. They're not a toy you can pick up and put on a shelf, and you don't wonder when a better one comes along. You don't gotta be a saint. You don't gotta be a holy. It's fine. Happy middle ground.
I should let this fly out the door.
I know,
Like,
but if we did it, his brother would just come.
Yeah,
If
that's
we had
true.
tried letting him out the door,
Yeah.
he's decided he likes to.
he
hear
like
it.
me here. Okay. as long as that-
Okay. Okay. It is
We are
8:40.
so good at talking.
So,
But
what,
that is a
we've
part
been,
of what
well,
it
we've
is.
been talking,
Yeah.
okay, so we should wrap up soon. And what kind of questions do you have about,
So is this a
Um,
good place to, cause like I just have. Like I kind of shared last week, I've just been called to this throughout my life, like without even knowing, like when I was young, the word abundance, I didn't even know what abundance meant, but it just came up in my prayers and I've lived by that. And like, and when I started to like really become in alignment with what abundance meant, then things are really happening in my life. So it's just been like here and, and I just know I'm not Catholic. Like I respect them. Like my one daughter chooses to,
Sweetie,
like,
if you're in a Catholic, you'll be recovering Catholic.
this is true. This is true. And a lot of people do say that.
Don't
So, yeah.
throw out the baby with the bathwater, believe me, because lighting candles has saved my life a lot.
Well, and my grandmother, who was from Italy, she was also Catholic, but my mom said she was a witch also.
Mhm.
So
Because
she,
it's-
yep.
They're practicing witchcraft and you're telling us it's wrong. They're
yeah.
lighting a candle to a woman figure to intercede for them.
Yeah. Yep.
We're lighting a candle,
Yeah.
so this woman has a baby, but we're evil.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
okay.
Grandma Elliot was very much.
No, she's very down to
Yes.
earth and very,
Yeah.
yes, keep the good.
Yeah.
If it's good and it harms no one, keep it.
Right.
Should it cause harm to someone, then it's definitely not something you wish to do.
So I have one daughter that is like the sacraments and Catholicism. And when I told her that we're, like I'm exploring this world because I've always been called to it, because I can't be put in a box. And she
Mhm.
knows that. Annika knows that about me.
Yeah.
So, like, but my Braylon, she actually asked if she could come here with me today. And I was like, well, I don't know. I'll talk to the ladies about it. But she's
How old is she?
she's 11.
She's over there.
Okay,
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah,
She
absolutely.
is. She just. I may have told you this last week. My earliest memories of her, she has a dirty diaper, and she is 1 year old in the garden with my dad. And
Aw.
she's planted the garden with my dad again this year. She's
Aw.
11, and she's a caretaker. She's a lover. But she is called the more spiritual world. Where I think Annika's actually afraid of it, because I actually do think Annika can see and
Yep, those
to
are the
be
ones
out.
that, those are one of the ones that are usually the most afraid of it,
Yes.
because they
Yeah.
won't even take the time to understand it. They know what they've been known. My oldest son won't ask me to do anything unless he's really in a pinch. Whereas my youngest son will wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning to tell
Mom.
me his friend is floating above the bed. And could I get him?
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, and it kind of goes, Annika's older, Braylon's younger, and if Braylon comes here and starts, it's just has to be that way. Braylon has to go first, and then Annika will follow, even though the birth order is opposite.
Because it
And-
wasn't always that way. And they're still reacting.
Yeah, so if I could bring Braylon with me, if that's okay.
Let them
And
both
that's
be
awesome.
exactly what they
absolutely.
want to be.
Absolutely,
It
Affirm
warms,
to your Catholic daughter that love is the most important.
absolutely right, absolutely right.
it warms my heart that parents are bringing their children in here. And yeah, if you want to get that book, yeah, if you want to get that stone. Because when I always knew I was different somehow. And I was trying to figure out what that was. And it wasn't until I was in a bookstore and when I was 13 that there was a book about witchcraft, and I had an allowance. So I bought the book and I hid it. I hid it. And I had to hide and I had to speak. But I knew in my heart. And so for someone, now it's different. Now parents are bringing in their kids and they're safe. They don't have to be afraid.
And some
they
of the
don't have
parents
to
are
be-
frowning, they're looking like, that's what you really want? The child says yes, mom says, okay, that's a beautiful, wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And it's good when they're young to let them know the difference between what they're being called to and something that is harmful. Because it can look like a joke. Yeah, put a curse on your boyfriend, turn your boyfriend into a father. So whatever you put out comes back to you 3 full times. So you want to make sure you're going to enjoy that curse. You can protect yourself. You don't, this is proactive. This is defensive, not going on. You know, if you don't want it done to you, I'm sure bet you shouldn't do it.
And then is this a good, because like I said, I know that like I'm supposed to be here. So thank you for being here again. And even though I'm late, 2 times or 2 times. Is this a good spot to like, where do I start the study? I got that book and then thumbing through the book. Week with the whole back island wedding and business is blessed. So, but is this a good spot? Where do I put my energy? I need to know where it is. Where, you know, tell me. Oh,
It
God.
seems like you've already started.
I just feel like it's just like it's bubbling and boiling. I don't like. I'm one of those people that wants to know it all and like
Oh,
dive
yeah, I
in and
understand.
like
Yeah.
and that's one of my
Do you
things.
play
And you might not
I
ever
need
stage
to-
state that because I love information
Mhm.
and I got that from my mother. She, like, when I was a kid, I would research. So you might just have that in you and you might not ever put that fire out.
I know,
You might
I
just
know.
always be like, what's this? You know what I mean? So,
That's also one of the things I'm not trying to change it. I'm trying to take a step back and be like, and breathe, meditate. I'm like,
well, and then there you go.
Yeah.
Why don't you?
What's your phone number?
Either
231-218.
Hold it, do I look like secretary? 218.
No,
Oh,
no, Mm-mm.
recording.
Oh, sorry.
Well, no, not sorry to me.
No, I told you. I
I'm
just-
single.
Okay, all right, we will do that.
So
But-
you're ready to go.
Yes,
But,
thank you
okay,
for writing it down.
so. But, and like for me, I feel that way sometimes too, especially during COVID. I kept teaching really dance, but I was releasing, because I'm an earth sign and I plan things way in advance. And like, okay, we're gonna have a recital on this day, and I'm gonna bring this teacher from California on this day. And
Yeah.
these are the things that I did pre-COVID. And during COVID, I had to just go, okay, whatever happens is what happens, and it makes my OCD twitchy, but that's what I'm going to do. And so there are times that you're not gonna necessarily get an answer right away, and that might drive you bonkers.
But it's learning to sit in that
And
discomfort
eventually
is
the
where
answer
I
will
need to
come,
be.
I promise, the answer will come. And sometimes you have to wait for the right time for the answer. And if you're impatient like I am, you're like, just give me the answer. But I would say like every day ask your guides, like spirit guides, beloved ancestors, angels, what message do you have for me today, or what is something I can do today to better my life with ease and grace? Because we also think everything has to be really hard, right?
It really is. This is KISS, keep it simple.
So that might, and what else?
I mean, you know, I always tell people to get a meditation practice because you'll hear everything better that way, and you'll feel more centered and better able to like drink it all in or sit tight when there's nothing coming. And that's my jam. That's my superpower. That's the thing I tell everybody to do. Okay.
Okay.
Did you try the candle?
I'm not trying to do that.
What are you waiting for? Meditation?
Well, we talked about it though. That was the first first question I came in today was, I'll be showing this.
And so- I just burned a candle recently.
Did you?
To release
Mm.
the FWB.
Oh, the friends with
Dude, that was like, I
Oh,
like
good.
brought I brought all the energy into that whole situation. And I was like, I lit a candle and I like just screamed as loud as I could and I released it all. And like 10 minutes later, I was like, wow, why didn't I do that 23 years ago?
Wow.
Oh, no. And I was like, now I'm like, every time I think about it, I'm like, I haven't thought about it in days.
Yeah, friends
You
with
had
for that long?
Mhm.
Whoa.
on and off. Not like
Yeah.
a guy left for 10 years and like, you know, he has relationships, I have relationships, but like,
Yeah.
and we're single like for 23 years. We've known each other for 25.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, this last round, I was like, yeah, now he has a sugar mama. I was like, yeah, I am so done with you. He's like this big punch burly guy, big dog. She bought him. Named Mercedes.
You're
Oh my God.
Tag me with a
I was like,
photo.
okay, if
Come
this
outta
isn't
here.
like a slap in the face, like you need to be done with this, then
Oh.
we can slap in the face loudly. But it's good. No, it's all good
It's
stuff.
good,
It's
yeah.
all good
Well,
stuff. in the
that-
face.
Well, they
Awesome.
tried tickling you. They've been tickling
Yeah,
you
no,
for
you
years,
didn't
and
tell me.
tickling didn't work, so they had to go grandma on
Yeah,
you.
no, that's exactly what's happening. Yeah, my grandma's on the other side slapping. Probably my great Hungarian grandma. She's like, what's her
What's the matter for you?
But yeah, releasing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Crazy.
I do. Waterworks has always worked for me, but really when it's something that's deeply emotional, I need fire.
Okay. Fire.
Mhm.
Well, can we go out and look at candles again? I
Okay.
got cards. I don't have
Alright.
any.
So.
All right, so I'm going
Thank
to. And now we are not recording.